Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Today, I really wanted to make a video about publishers and the fact that some people I know like to buy everything by a publisher, like they really like one book and then they go and buy a bunch of other books from that same publisher, just because publishers seem to have like a theme of like what kind of people or what kind of authors or what kind of themes they like to publish. That's kind of their brand, I guess. And I thought it'd be interesting to just kind of think about what publishers do I mostly read or that I like a lot. And it ended up being much more of a complicated research process than I thought. And I have come to find that I don't really understand the business structures of publishers. They're very complicated. And so if anybody knows more detailed information and can explain to me exactly how publishers work and the tiers of like who owns what, I would love to hear your input because it's crazy. But before I get into that, I would just like to say if you guys end up liking this video, go ahead and subscribe and give this video a like. It really does help out the channel a whole lot. And I would love to have you join the Fantasy Fiction Fanatics community. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Talking about how the publishers all seem to be owned by another company, especially Penguin Random House is the one that, at least for me personally, I kept running into, is that each publisher was really owned by Penguin Random House. I know there's a couple I think it was 5 really big main publishers, and all the other publishing companies are owned somehow by these upper companies. It's very complex, the hierarchy. Sometimes some of the publishers that are owned by Penguin are also owned another one below them, and I don't really know how the publisher decides this goes to this company and this goes to this company, because I found some of the authors were spread throughout different publishers owned by the same publisher. It's complicated, okay? So which is why I asked for anybody who knows better business hierarchies or about publishing companies specifically, what the heck is going on with that? I would love to know better because it seemed very confusing when I was trying to sift through exactly what publishing companies publish what and how they're owned and everything like that. So I just am letting you know it's complicated if you didn't know that already. Many of the publishers I personally like are scattered throughout a whole bunch of different publishers. I wouldn't say that there's one in particular that's I only read this one. I've actually never gone about buying my books or reading books based on publisher, which might actually be an interesting thing to try. But I usually just go and I see books and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, and I read it, and I don't really look at the publisher at all. But I do find, at least with the books that I like to read, is that we're pretty scattered, but there are a couple that I have more experience with. Many of the publishers that I have read fall under Penguin Random House in some way. And I will say that the publishing company that I have read the most authors from is going to be Ace Publishing, which is owned in some way by Penguin Random House. I really like a lot of their authors. This includes Patricia Briggs, Jim Butcher, Iona Andrews, Mark Lawrence, Devin Monk, Lisa Sheeran, Benedict Jocka, Rachel Kane. What other ones? There's many, many more. Glenn Cook I noticed was on here, and that's one of the authors that I would like to try. But all of these authors are under Ace Publishing. So I would say of all the publishing companies that I was able to kind of look at and explore a little bit, Ace is probably the one that I am most familiar with in terms of authors. I have read a lot of authors by them, and I like a lot of authors that are published under Ace Publishing. But just happened to be happenstance of that being the case. My guess is that Ace Publishing is one of the largest sections of Penguin Random House's fantasy publishing. That was what it seemed like to me, but they also do own a couple other companies that do also do fantasy book publishing. So I don't really know, again, about that structure, but it does look like Ace publishes a lot of different authors. The second most authors that I've read based on publisher is going to be Harper Voyager, which is under Harper McKesson, I think it was. I should have written that down. I'm sorry, guys. I am not on the ball today. But Harper Voyager is the one I find is the second most amount of authors that I've read that are in the same publishing company. This includes Jennifer Estep, R.A. Salvador, Sue Lin Tan, and Kim Harrison. So all those authors are under Harper Voyager in some way, at least for some of their books, and it seemed to be the next one that was largest in terms of what I have actually read. So both of those I think are super interesting. It makes me want to branch out and look at more of those authors under those two publishers to see if there might be more that I enjoy. But yeah, those are the two biggest ones, at least for me personally. One that I did notice I would like to try more of, and that would be Daw Books, which is also somehow related to Penguin Random House, because I really like Joshua Philip Johnson. And as you guys know, I really like his books. He's a new author, but he has 2 books out, and they are superb. And I also noticed that there's Stephen Blackmore under this publishing company, which is one that I wanted to try for a while. I've seen his books, and I think that he sounds interesting, along with C.R. Lamb, and I think it's named Shannon McGuire, I think is how you would say the name. So these are authors that I've noticed that I would like to try and haven't yet, so I would like to at least maybe dip my toes a bit more into Daw Books and see what their authors have to provide. So overall, that's the main breakdown of the publishing companies and the authors that I really enjoy, that I can muddle through and see the most correlations for them. Again, super complicated in the way that publishers actually work in the hierarchy of that, so it's kind of hard to say how you could branch out based on knowing that you like a particular publishing company that is owned by a larger business. But either way, I thought it was interesting. It was a very good experience for me to just kind of look through these publishers and just to see what I do like and what I don't like, or what I have read or haven't read. And again, a lot of the books that I have actually read are very spread out throughout many different publishers. It was hard to just be like, yes, I read like everything from this publishing company. Most of the time I'd look up a book and be like, okay, well, what publisher is this by? And I'd be like, okay, this one. And then the next book I'd be like, that's a completely different one. And the next book, a completely different one. So I am pretty much more of a read based on, I'm interested in that book reader than somebody who likes to read based on a publisher. But I do know some people who discover a publisher that they really like and then just buy all the books based on that publisher and read all those authors based on publisher, if that makes sense. So what about you? Do you have a particular publishing company that you like and you go and you look for the books from that publisher and that's your main way of like seeing what you might like? Or do you more spread out your reading to what looks interesting to you and check those out? I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts on publishing companies in general and the books that you read. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and what I kind of talked about. Once again, if you know anything about publishing, please help me because I got majorly confused. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.